Tilting.
Thank you. We'll call this meeting to order. Thank you for joining us tonight, and hopefully all people are watching, and if not, the recording. Anyway, please everyone join me for the flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, this meeting is being televised or recorded for the transcription of the minutes. At this time, speakers wishing to address the board this evening should turn in the completed speaker card to the board secretary. Action taken in closed session. Trustee Barbo?
No action was taken.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda for tonight. I know before we approve it, we need to switch the agenda presentations from swap the 1 and 2. I think our auditor is running late, so I need a motion for that with the change.
I'll make a motion to approve with the change.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Okay, motion carries. Speakers wishing to address the board on items on the agenda may complete speakers card and submit them to the board secretary. Speakers addressing specific items on the agenda will have the opportunity to address the board at the time of the agenda item in the meetings. If you're addressing the board on a non-agenda item, please be aware of the provisions of the Brown Act prohibits the board from acting or discussing such matters at this meeting. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person per topic and 20 minutes per agenda item. MEF, MEA, CSEA, members of the community. Linda. Thank you. Okay, next, trustee comments. Any comments, announcements, trustees? Trustee Troyer?
Yeah, I just wanted to make mention about seeing everybody at the Lunar New Year dinner. That was wonderful. And thank you to Rotary for supporting our students with the funding needs. I'll be anxious to hear how that works out. I went to the Marina Vista Park round opening the next day, Saturday. If you haven't been to that park, you have to go. It's amazing. That park, in fact, I took my granddaughters there yesterday. The basketball courts that double as soccer goals, the whole green area, benches, and then the play structure. It's clean. And I watched as someone was walking their dog, and I was waiting because there's doggy bags there and a little disposal, and I was just waiting. And sure enough, took a bag, cleaned up, right? Clean up after your puppies, right? So it is a great park. So thrilled that we have that in the Alameda Park area for the kiddos. I was a judge for the Lions Essay Contest on Wednesday night at Mills High School. A 15-year-old student from Mills won the contest, the essay contest, and the subject was interesting, Jeff. It was AI, friend or foe. And she did a great job. She did a really great job. Looking forward to our board special meeting on Friday. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay.
I have just one.
Okay, go ahead, trustee.
I just want to thank everybody for the Lunar New Year. It was a very successful evening, and there's going to be money coming for the funded meet. I won't say the amounts because I let the official people do that. But there was a good amount raised that we were able now to put back into our funding the schools and helping the students here. Also, I just was able to visit 2 schools to 3rd grade dictionaries. And I went to Meadows and passed out the dictionaries there, and Lameda Park and passed out the dictionaries there. And the kids just loved them. The teachers really loved them. They all said that they just amazed that they got to go look at all these words. One little boy came up to me and asked me, "Are these all the words in the world?" I mean, it was really cute. The kids were really excited. So The dictionaries were delivered last week, and I'm just looking forward to more things coming up with Rotary. Great, thank you.
Thank you. I'll make it quick. We had our bond and parcel tax oversight committee meeting last week. Claire and I were there representing the board, and we had members of the community along with some staff talking about our budget and the parcel checks and what we've spent money on. I'm going to make another plug for the bond oversight committee. Applications are due on February 21st. So hopefully we'll get some more applications in, and then you want to plug the MUF down?
Yes, I was,
Okay.
thank
I'll let you do
you.
that.
Thank you. It's kind of hard to do the last, because, anyway, but yes, I wanted to say that the gala is like 2 weeks away.
March 8th.
March 8th. I finally got my ticket, and it looks like the seats are selling. So don't forget to buy your ticket and join us for a fun party. And I actually I went with the superintendent and our CBO to the monthly mayor at well, actually, it's not monthly with Anders Lund. It's every 2 months he meets with community leaders, and we're able to plug in the MEF. It's going to go on their website and then the newsletter to announce it, talk about it. And we also plugged in our oversight committee. We're trying to get from the cultural and the Rotary and all this stuff, trying to get people to be interested in the oversight committee for the bond. And I think we got a lot of feedback from that. It seems like there's a lot of interest. People are excited to see what we do with the money that we got with the bond. So it was a good discussion. But yeah, it was nice to go and hear about everything that's going on in the community. I think I'm going to plug in for Frank. The crab feed is coming back after 5 years.
Yeah, we have,
missing in action.
yeah, the Lions Club is doing their crab feed after 5 years of not doing it. They did
Yes.
lobster last year,
Yes.
and that was okay. It's gonna be St. Dunstan's, March. I don't have the exact date.
No, it's okay, it's this coming,
22nd.
it's Saturday.
It's Saturday.
It's this Saturday,
This
February
Saturday.
22nd, yeah.
Yes.
This,
Yeah, the 22nd.
This
yeah,
Saturday,
this Saturday.
February 22nd.
I have to read my line bulletin. I really do. Yeah, that's coming up. That's gonna be great. That's our fundraiser. That's our main fundraiser.
There will be a lobster one later on, I heard.
Yeah,
So,
maybe,
maybe. Okay.
maybe, yeah.
All right.
So, yeah. coming up.
It's another fun
Yeah.
event. I'm not sure if it's sold out or not, but.
It's not sold out.
It's not sold out, anyway.
No.
So if you have another video on a Saturday and you'd like to eat some crab, please join us
Yes,
at
yes.
the Lions St. Dunstan's, 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock, drinks at 6.
I'm gonna assume there's walk-in,
7 o'clock dinner.
or you have to RSVP because they have to buy it.
I just
Yes.
wanna know what makes it marinated crab.
Oh, they do a special seasoning.
You have
for
to,
it.
you have
It's
to
called,
talk to Chef Don Byer.
Okay.
Yeah. He's our chef.
anyway. Well, anyway, looking forward to see you at the gala and have some fun and raise some funds for our children. Anyway, next, superintendent update.
All right. If I can, here we go. All right, so first want to just talk to you about summer school plans. Ms. Boslip and I have been working hard at making sure we figure out how that's going to work. So we have already kind of talked to you about Big Lift Inspiring Summers, which is another acronym called BLISS. So that's our Rising K through 3rd grade. We'll be at Lamita Park, June 16th to July 11th. No school on 6/19 and, oh, that should say 4. What was, sorry. We will fix that, but no school on the ploy, sorry. That is a full day program, 8:15 to 4. Our elementary summer academy, rising 4th and 5th grade will be at Taylor. We did meet, we are actually going to make that program a little shorter, so June 16th to July 3rd. I think that's where I got messed up with my July 3rd. So we'll just finish it July 3rd, as well as the bridge program. So that rising 4, 5, 6 will happen there. Extended school year will happen at Green Hills, and that will be kind of the same dates as the Big Lift Inspiring Summers. Is that correct? Or are we gonna? Okay. So we'll change that before. And we did have the Lomita Park Parent University. There was a meeting last Thursday, and the topic was proactive strategies for managing behavior. So every month it's a little bit of a different topic. Ms. Wassel, what have we had else in the past? Literacy and.
We had literacy, and math.
Got it. So a lot of presenters. We have Brittany Fredrickson, Andrea Yee. The Taylor team was there. Principal Aaron, Assistant Principal Romer, the counselor, and a teacher, just to kind of talk about the transition to middle school. And I just want to thank everybody because there's a lot of work that goes into preparing for the parent universities. It was nice to have San Bruno Library. We've had Millbrae Library there in the past, and San Bruno Library was there this time too. So. And then I also will plug the gala because the early bird pricing has been extended just through today. So today is the last chance to get your early bird ticket. So that is coming up in a few weeks. And that's all my updates.
Great, thank you. All right, next on the agenda is a presentation from Director of Educational Services, who will present mid-year local control and accountability plan updates. Okay, Catherine?
Hold it right way. Okay. It's situated here. All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. President Musa, Vice President Chin, trustees, Superintendent Hickey, Cabinet, Mr. Rodriguez, and family and friends. Before I begin the mid-year local control accountability plan report here, I want to just thank our site administrators, our classified and certificated staffs out at our school sites, all of our district employees, because they are really the ones on the ground implementing this plan. So I also want a special shout out to Sue and Mary for their support with the budget. It's not my forte.
It's teamwork.
Teamwork, it's teamwork. So the LCAT, it's really a tool. It's a tool to set goals, actions, resources that improve student outcomes. It's a planning and accountability mechanism more than anything else. And this is our first year of a 3-year cycle. Okay, so I do remember when Trustee Ferrario at the last board meeting mentioned a living and breathing plan, referring to the facilities master plan. And I want us to think about the LCAP in the same way. It really is, the value of it really lies in the implementation of the plan. Because you can write a plan that's 50 pages, 100 pages, but it's only as good as how it's implemented. Our LCAP has 8 state priorities, local and state priorities. And they're listed here on this beautiful new palette of colors. I have to give a shout out to Superintendent Hickey because she heard all of us when we were talking about the pastels, and so this is our new color palette. I really love it as a fan. Basic services, Common Core state standards, parent involvement, student achievement, student engagement, school climate, course access, and other student outcomes, which really I had to do a little research on that. That's everything beyond the academic. So that's your PE, your electives, all those other extras that we call them. Okay, our MESD LCAP goals. This is just a quick little overview here. I'm going to get really in depth tonight on the goals. But our first one is all around literacy. Second is standards-based differentiated instruction. The third goal is around engagement and chronic absenteeism. And our fourth goal is integrated and designated English language development. Okay, so we're going to move forward here with the metrics, expenditures, and actions. I'm just going to pause to just kind of speak a little bit about how I'm going to present. Because these slides, as you saw, are very dense. So I'm going to provide an overview
of the metrics and the actions. I'm not gonna get too in-depth with the budget pieces. And then I'm gonna give you some updates, some specific examples of where we are today on these actions, these goals, okay? So that's kind of the overview of tonight's presentation. All right, so we have our metrics and this beautiful plant that you see here, the one that's not growing much, that's the unknown metric. And it's unknown because at this point in the year, we really don't know the outcome. The plan is in progress here. The action is in, the metric is in progress because the outcome will be known towards the end of the school year or in year 2 or in year 3, but it's basically in progress. So your plant is growing. And then our outcome is known. Your plant is fully grown. It's, come to fruition, if you will. That's something like, for example, the Williams Act report. So for the majority of the metrics in this report, this mid-year report, they're all going to be pretty much in progress. You're going to see a lot of those plants that are growing. All right, report actions and expenditures. So again, same analogy with the plant. The little bud there hasn't really started growing quite yet. So some actions may not have been implemented, may not have started. Shifting priorities or just the service just hasn't kicked in quite yet. In progress, it's blooming, it's growing, hasn't been completed, but it's in progress. And then we have some actions that are fully completed and implemented, such as our essential standards that our teachers have outlined, and or again, Williams compliant textbooks have been provided. So again, you're going to see a lot of plans tonight from the presentation. All right, let's begin with LCAP Goal 1, structured literacy lessons in phonics, phonological awareness, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. Right. Okay, so this is the next slide I was referring to. Just going to give you a little bit of an overview of the metrics. Okay, I'm going to list the metrics, and then I'm going to go into a little bit more specifics with respect to the mid-year update. Up here. Okay, so on the left-hand side, you see we are utilizing the metrics, STAR reading benchmark, CASP, language arts, access to standards aligned to materials, and parent and family engagement. And I want to just draw your attention to, look at that, the mid-year update right here. Okay, so back to baseline, when the LCAP was written, is over here. And now we have our mid-year update. So you can look at the growth that we've made from the baseline to current 24-25. We have Green Hills STAR reading benchmark assessments at 83%, Lameda Park at 49, Meadows at 84, Spring Valley 77, and Taylor at 78. So you can see the growth that has been made in language arts in STAR. And now looking at the CASP ELA, we have our baseline here and our current mid-year report right here. We've grown up 62 to 65 in terms of the standards that are met on the CASP. Lameda Park from 26.66 to 33.56. And those are the two that I just kind of want to highlight. And you can read through the additional metrics, which is, again, access to standards aligned materials, that's known, plants fully grown, everybody has the materials that they need, we're Williams compliant. Our parent and family engagement, state local indicators, we expect a 5 out of 5 on that. And that's, again, a self-assessment. Okay, let's go on to our actions here. So those are our metrics, and these are our actions. So I'm just going to, again, list them, and then I'm going to give you a little bit more detail about where we are today in our actions. So we have our instructional materials, Tier 2 reading instruction, professional learning, assessment and monitoring, family and community engagement. So again, those are our actions. And as you can see, the only one that's fully completed is instructional materials. Everything else is in progress. Now I want to speak a little bit to where we are today with LCAP Goal 1 actions. Our Tier 2 reading specialists, huge shout out to our Tier 2 reading specialists, an amazing group of teachers. They're collaborating monthly, analyzing student data. We've put some good systems in place this year with respect to referrals, how we are bringing students into the program and exiting them. We also have a criteria. I believe everybody has seen that criteria. It's color-coded with entry and exit points into our program. I want to also highlight our Big Lift collaboration with Matt Bergallo, who's been providing a lot of professional learning across our district, reaching out to other school sites as well. The shift I know you've heard from Fastbridge to Dibbles is in place. We have a scheduled professional learning happening in March. And of course, our Parent University series that Superintendent Hickey referred to. We're doing those monthly throughout the school year, so that has been huge. Aligned with our literacy goal here was 2 months ago, we did the literacy night. I believe Superintendent Hickey was there. Some of our board trustees were there. It was a great night. We had our reading specialists kind of leading the charge that night. So again, a lot of professional learning happening and some great things around literacy right now. Okay, I'm gonna move on now to LCAP Focus Goal 2, providing personalized standards-based instruction to help all students master essential standards. Okay, so I'm going to highlight again our baseline where we were and where we are today. So we have back in 2023, 61% of our 3rd through 8th graders met or exceeded. Our update is 62.55, met or exceeded, CAS. Moving on to our STAR. Now, we didn't exactly pull out this metric as a measurement because we're really looking at essential standards here, right? So what I wanted to do was just kind of highlight, because the STAR is supposed to predict proficiency on the CAS, and it's also aligned to our Common Core essential standards. So you can see kind of where we are at our school sites in terms of performance on math and STAR. So again, our professional learning teams have created essential standards, and they're collaborating around formative and summative assessments. But that STAR score there gives you kind of an indication of how we're going to do in terms of CAS results. Again, that's current right now for the winter. I expect it to be even higher in the spring. Okay, so let's move on now. So our next metrics are, again, those local and state indicators, the self-assessments around academic standards, as well as parent and family engagement. So I'm not going to mention much about that, other than we expect ourselves to be at a 5 out of 5 on both of those self-assessments. And now I'll just go quickly through those actions, and then I'll give you some real in-depth highlights of where we are today for LCAP Goal 2. So we have standards-based instruction, professional learning, differentiated instruction in math for students who are below grade level, as well as our students with disabilities, intervention support, and family and community engagement. So again, those are our actions for LCAP Goal 2. And then I want to just speak a little bit more in depth, kind of where we are and what we're doing on the ground right now with LCAP Goal 2. As you know, we've been partnering with the San Mateo County Office of Education, their Access and Engagement Center. And that's the work that we're doing with Dr. Chad Slide. Currently, what we're looking at is Tier 1 and Tier 2 instruction. So recently, our PBIS team, which is a group of teachers that have a stipend, as well as our site administrators, are partnering together with Dr. Slide to take a real deep look at Tier 1 instruction. We're doing, we just recently adopted a self-reflection tool for teachers to take a look at their Tier 1 that's kind of aligned to our CSTPs, our California State Teaching Standards. We also have a newly adopted fidelity checklist that we're going to be rolling out to our staffs to sort of take a look at what needs to happen in Tier 1 and Tier 2 before we even convene an SST team meeting. So that's the work that we're doing with Dr. Slight around Tier 1 and Tier 2 instruction. Our PLTs, as I mentioned, have identified essential standards that happened in November. We're still slowly edging our way towards adopting formative and summative assessments, and we're kind of working with our site administrators to determine what that work is going to look like. We're in our second pilot, getting ready to hopefully round the corner and adopt a new math curriculum for Millbrae. Right now it's McGraw Hill Reveal. We finished illustrative and we're moving on to McGraw Hill. And of course, our Parent University series. A month ago, it focused on math. We brought in the San Mateo County Office of Education Coordinator, Kim Bambow. I think Trustee Ferrario, you were there. It was a great night. Played a lot of math games, learned a lot about math Common Core state standards. So again, we're doing quite a bit to support LCAP Goal 2. All right, now we're going to move on. How am I doing on time? Which time? Fostering a welcoming, inclusive, and safe school environment. Through engaging diverse learning experiences, we inspire curiosity and regular attendance. That's our LCAP Goal 3. Okay, so metrics. Panorama survey, suspension and expulsion rates, chronic absenteeism, and overall attendance data, middle school dropout rate, as well as surveys of elective courses. These are our metrics for LCAP Goal 3. And now let's take a look at our actions. I should probably highlight a few of those. Let me highlight a little bit, back up a little bit. I want to highlight, we have 0 expulsions and 13 suspensions as of the mid-year update. I do have a baseline, I'm sorry. So the baseline is on the left here. We go back over here. This is our baseline where it's broken out by ethnicities. I don't have that specific detailed information as of yet, but with EduClimber on the horizon, we're going to get that very soon. But I do want to highlight our attendance data. And this actually did come to us from EduClimber. We have one module in EduClimber that's up and running. Very happy to say thank you, Director of Tech, Jeff Horn, for his work on that. So in 23-24, our overall attendance rate was 95.5, as you can see here. And right now we're at 90.34. This again came from EduClimber, and these are the site rates right here. So you can see right now, again, we are doing a lot, and I'm going to go over those actions right now to talk about how we're going to improve those rates and get those up. So let's move on to actions. Family engagement specialists at Lameda Park, working with our families to improve attendance and reduce chronic absenteeism. Positive behavior interventions and supports. We have PBIS happening across our district. Family and community engagement. Again, that's the communication. We're engaging with our community. Positive welcoming attendance strategies. Encouraging our students to attend regularly, and the work that our counselors are doing. So I'm going to stop and sort of go a little more in depth on what those actions look like. So we developed a partnership this year with commonsensemedia.org. We're working with the Western Regional Coordinator. His name is Jamie Nunez. He's been really instrumental in supporting our site administrators on all things digital citizenship. He weaves in how to be a good citizen online, talking about cyber safety, all the things to kind of keep our kids safe in this digital age. So he's been going out and doing doing a parent university in March, parent coffees, I'm sorry. Also our work with the Access and Engagement Center, Dr. Slife partnered up with our counselors to provide some restorative practices, professional learning. We have regular parent-square communications, emphasizing attendance strategies, and just, how to keep our kids healthy and coming to school. Our Director of Tech has helped us get letters attendance letters into Synergy this year. That's really positive. And then our ongoing monthly collaboration with our office admin assistants. That's been a great collaboration this year. We've just been really working closely with them on creating that welcoming environment and making sure we remove obstacles so they can help kind of make those phone calls and, get those letters out and just, really supporting them with their work on Synergy. So those are just some of the mid-year updates I wanted to provide for LCAP Goal 3. And now I'm going to move us right along to our fourth and final goal of the evening, designated and integrated English language development for our multilingual learners. All right, we have 3 metrics to measure this goal. First one is our LPAC, our initial and summative LPAC, reclassification rates. And I just want to highlight that back in 22-23, our reclass rate was 16%, and currently, mid-year update, it's at 17.12. And our final metric is the parent and family engagement, state and local indicators. We expect to be, again, a 5 out of 5 on that self-assessment. And our actions, professional learning specifically focused on Lomita Park, family and community engagement, LPAC assessments, and designated and integrated ELD. So those are the actions for LCAP Goal 4. And now I just want to pause and kind of give you a little bit of update. Some highlights. LPAC initial and summative. Mr. Rodriguez, Coordinator Rodriguez, has really been working to train additional staff to come alongside our EL paraprofessionals so that we can have a more robust examiner pool to go out and administer both the initial and the summative. Because what has happened in the past is we've sort of pulled the EL paraprofessionals out of the classrooms away from direct support to students for sometimes months at a time to administer, because that assessment takes a very long time. It's a one-to-one assessment, and it's very labor intensive, right, in terms of the amount of time and energy that it takes. So we thought, why not just reach out to our sub pool and see if we can get some folks trained, and they really have kind of come alongside our EL paraprofessionals and are administering those assessments, thus making the window much shorter and less of an intrusion to the support of the classroom. So that's one piece. Our professional learning with a big lift around structured literacy has sort of highlighted and created a renewed focus on vocabulary. In fact, Julie DeMaia, our MTSS coordinator, is working with a group of students at Lomita Park to provide academic vocabulary intervention for our 5th graders. And it is aligned with Kate Kinsilla's academic vocabulary toolkit. And then, of course, regular meetings that Rich and I are holding, predominantly Rich, with our EL paraprofessionals to just help come alongside them and provide them with best practices around multilingual learner support, all things, forms and functions of language, helping to provide that proficiency level support to help them with their role supporting our students. So those are some of the pieces for LCAP Goal 4 that we are doing in terms of our actions. And last slide is our year 1 timeline. So we are right here in February. This is our mid-year report to the board. We want to identify some adjustments or some challenges, which we're going to be doing in cabinet and with our principals, so that we can start drafting the LCAP for year 2 based on data and feedback that we're getting. And then yours truly will be back here at the end of the year to give you a year 1 update. So that is,
Good job, Catherine.
Thank you. Tried to
Thank
do
you,
that
Catherine.
in 25 minutes.
You did well.
Thank you, Catherine.
It's much faster. but-
And I know that was a lot of information, but just trustees, it's just a reminder, we are going to try where each person.
Well, I think, yeah, Well, I don't know, let's see what the questions are. I know we tried it last time with asking all the questions all at once, but I think it puts too much pressure on the
Actually,
presenter.
Ms. Wassel preferred it because it gave her some think time, but
Yeah, we should have talked about it. Okay, go ahead, trustees, you have any questions, comments?
Sure. Oh, you can- On this end of the table. There's a lot of stuff, Catherine, and great presentation. I was just wondering about math. And I know you mentioned about differentiating instruction strategies. And so that's going to take the form of professional development. Is that correct?
Yes, with our new math adoption, there'll be quite a bit of professional development that comes along with that.
Okay.
For the new adoption, and it's looking, all signs are pointing to McGraw-Hill review in terms of at least the survey we did on illustrative math. There were some highlights, but we seem to be getting a really great response from just the couple of weeks that they've been doing reveal, and so all signs sort of point to maybe going with McGraw-Hill, so that there'll be some embedded professional learning ongoing throughout the school year, some touch points, to kind of check in and provide that support.
And you mentioned UDL, Universal Design for Learning. How, I haven't heard a lot about how our district is embracing UDL, so how is that working into the differentiated instruction piece?
Well, full transparency, there hasn't been a lot of work yet on UDL. We as site administrators did receive a little bit about a year and a half ago, I remember. And I've delved a little bit into it, and I know Dr. Passmore has, pretty well versed in it. The good news is that Dr. Slife is a UDL certified trainer. So I've reached out to him. We want to continue that partnership because he's doing some great work with us on Tier 1 and Tier 2. And I actually sent him an email over the weekend to see if I could book him for August, because we know we're going to be doing the professional learning for math. And I was hoping we could do maybe a full day of maybe math in the morning and then in the afternoon do some UDL and sort of weave it into the math, because as you can see with LCAP Goal 2, that's really where we want our focus to be. We want to partner, SPED and Gen Ed together to sort of look at what we can do as a team to support our general education teachers, as well as our SEI teachers, as well as our resource specialists, to kind of create more of a UDL experience for our students, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the goal.
Yeah, I was just, obviously we've done really good in ELA with all the support that we've provided. Kudos to MESD that's really provided a lot of support for our students. Looks like just from looking at scores that our math is in need of some extra support. So will that be a consideration in terms of planning for next year? It's not reflected totally in the LCAP, but just as a comment, I guess, that, I could see us really looking to support math on a more holistic level, like we did with reading in the future. So that's just, the other thing was PBIS. I know we have a person at each site that does PBIS. How is the consistency between school sites in terms of PBIS rollout, monthly, or in terms of assemblies, or is it pretty similar, or how does that work?
So each school site has their PBIS leads that come up here in the district office to meet with myself and Dr. Slife. We have meetings pretty regularly. I wouldn't say every month, but at least every 6 to 8 weeks we have meetings. And then that's been the work we've been doing with Tier 1 around academics and around behavior. So we've been able to sort of share best practices In terms of the actual rollout, I mean, every school site has their matrix, every school site has their way of providing positive incentives, reinforcements. I know that 3 out of the 4 schools have adopted Harper for Kids, which is very promising. So there's an ongoing assemblies around character development because, as you know, Harper for Kids is all based on the pyramid of success. So there's different components that are emphasized. That's sort of a site-based leadership decision in terms of, you know, the implementation of it, but the alignment is there in terms of the overall expectations, providing that safe, you know, inclusive, positive, welcoming environment, you know, something that we talk about in principal meetings.
Yeah, and really, if we're looking at attendance and giving students a reason to come to school, I mean, I think we have to build that positive environment. And it's difficult, but I think being all on the same page, you know, we learn from each other. So whatever is beneficial at one school could possibly work at another school. So hopefully the teachers from each school have a chance to kind of talk about what's happening at each site, because that to me really affects attendance.
Yeah.
Those incentives.
Well, I saw the welcome passes instead of tardy passes at Green Hills, so they're using
There you
them.
go.
And I think Lamita Park wants to get on board with the welcome passes too. And that's one little thing that
I know,
you can
but the
do.
little
It's
things
very
add up.
minor, but yeah.
Yeah,
it's-
exactly.
Yeah.
So there's so much, and I'm so happy that we're in year 1 of a 3-year program, that we're done with the last 3-year LCAP program, and we're building on something new going forward. So I'm really happy about that. So thank you for all you do.
Well, and thank you, the cabinet, because I was at Meadows writing my SIPSA, and you guys all wrote the LCAP. So kudos to Superintendent Hickey and Dr. Passmore and Jeff and Rich and Julie and everybody that came together to write the LCAP. And this is just me reporting on it. So, but we will revise it together and we'll look at the feedback. The panorama is really going to be instrumental in kind of guiding us in the direction of where we want to make some changes, where we want to, you know, revise or, you know, keep doing or not doing, or yeah.
I guess my only question is just about EduClimber. You were talking about that you got the attendance module or whatever working. What is how's that? I mean, maybe that's Jeff's question. Just to kind of update on how EduClimber's being rolled out. Is it?
It's very involved. I mean, I had no clue. I just thought we could just turn on a switch and, you know, it'd be as easy as 1, 2, 3, but it's very involved. There's all these platforms and modules that we have to actually upload everything into a database. I don't know, correct me. And you go module by module, and we have to learn how to we haven't even gotten into the professional learning aspect of it, but we have to do the back end piece in order for it to have our, you know, Millbrae stuff in it, right? So it goes module by module. The first one was attendance, and then gradebook, which we ran into a little bit of a snag because of our standards-based report cards. They don't really translate into, you know, like a middle school or a high school report card would, right, with the percentages. And then the next one is assessment. So I just reached out to a couple folks today to get some information around like ESGI, because that's its own database, right? DRA is a hand scored assessment. So we don't really have a database for DRA, CASP, LPAC, all those other pieces. Jeff is working on the back end of that, uploading it into the system, and then we'll learn what it looks like, how to read it, and then there'll be professional learning pieces that we, as a site admin team, will need to learn in order to roll it out to our staffs. So it's very involved. I mean, in terms of a timeline, I would think hopefully by spring, fingers crossed, March, April. It'll definitely be something that we hope to start the next school year with. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice presentation, though. I know that LCAP is very tedious and lots of components and things to look at, but nice job on the metrics and the updates. So thank you.
Thank you.
You just mentioned metrics, and so I'm interested in knowing, like, how's the metrics work? Is it working for you? And do you get a lot out of metrics?
The assessment
Well, the
pieces.
metrics, yeah, I mean, you showed us.
I mean, I sort of felt like at least the math star scores were pretty positive. Now the CASP, we have some areas to improve on in terms of CASP and math across, in some areas on the dashboard. I use it kind of as a guide. I mean, I don't think it's a perfect predictor of how our students are going to do, but if you take that and you try and triangulate it with some other assessment pieces, it kind of paints a pretty good picture of where our students are. So if you take a DRA assessment, fast bridge assessment, and some STAR assessment, and you look at a student all together, it kind of gives you a good picture. And then, of course, work samples and things like that. So that's why we have to really look pretty deeply and know our students based on not just one measure, but a wealth of measures.
My other question is, does Taylor Middle School, do they still have their math class that they were here last year?
Yes,
This
they
time
still
last
have,
year?
they have
Accelerated math.
Yeah.
2 sections of 7th and 2 sections of 8th.
That's still going pretty good?
I believe it is.
Okay.
I haven't
It is-
checked in much on.
We definitely, we doubled it as of last year, and we've had a lot more positive feedback, and so it's really 2 out of 8, so it's a quarter of our students are in that.
The parents are happy.
Great presentation.
Thank you, Frank.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a great presentation. There's so much progress. I feel like that's been made even in just a short period of time. I mean, we're only really half a year into the.
Is that all? No, I'm kidding.
Right? Like, it's like we just wrote it last spring and we're only half a year in for the 3 years and
It's not June yet?
I feel like we've already hit some of our goals. And so
Some
I'm
ways,
wondering if
yeah,
we're going to.
although I think I was with Mary when she said, or Sue, somebody said, you really should put in progress for the majority, even though I kind of felt like in some ways, we sort of have met many of what we set out to
the
do, but
reading goals.
we can do
and-
even better, right? So.
Yeah, so I was wondering when we update it, whether or not we'll actually update the expected outcome. Because some of it we've already kind of hit in 6 months in.
I think
Yeah.
some of them we can, when we built when we built the LCAP, it was a 3-year plan. It was really hard to kind of predict. So that's why it is a living document, and we can update the metrics. It was, it's finding that balance of making sure that you have a goal, but it's also attainable.
Totally.
And so if we find that we are already there kind of in year 1, we will certainly adjust where we should be going.
I've been going to an LCAP in person and on Zoom, writing a professional learning series. It was long. Mary and I went, yeah, at least there were snacks. But we can't change the baseline, obviously, is the baseline, right? But we can change pieces. Now, once you change one piece, you're going to have to change several pieces. So if you select a new expected outcome, you're going to have to go back and revise some actions, right? So I was sort of like in the mindset of like, let's just keep it. Superintendent Nikki, you did a great job. No, I mean, we have to change what we have to change, right? But it is a lot of work to go in and make those revisions. But we'll do what we need to do for our district. So yeah,
I'm sure it is. I know this is only just the culmination of just hours and hours and hours of prep and work, and even actually to achieve the outcome. So, I appreciate that. But I was looking at this and thinking, this is pretty great that we've already achieved some of these in just such a short period of time. The only things I would sort of point out are really just a little bit on the students with disabilities, which I'm sure you already have seen all that, and just kind of wondering what we might do to because that didn't go in the right direction. Not that it didn't meet our expected goals, because we still have plenty of time, but really it's kind of fallen. I think that was in math.
yeah, that's in math.
That was
Yeah.
in 2.
So that's the area that we want to collaborate around and really support our staff and, obviously our students. And that's where the convergence of the SPED department and the Ed Services department work together to take a look at instruction. I know Dr. Passmore brought in Touch Math, which is a great program for SAI classes and resource specialists. But I think we have an opportunity with our new math adoption to really partner and take a look at that new framework that really allows a lot of different access points for our students that learn differently, to really kind of focus in on that UDL piece, right? So I think if we bring the new math, adoption, and Dr. Slife and UDL, we can really work together to, increase the outcomes for all of our students, including our students with unique challenges. So,
Dr. Passmore, I think wants to make a quick comment about that.
Also, too, we have been mobilizing our paraeducators. They're the backbone of our program. So this year as well, we've been doing training around how to accommodate math in the general education classroom. Because as you know, we also have a lot of our paraeducators supporting students within the general education setting. So how can they differentiate the math on the fly to meet the students' needs? So that's already been in place this year, and it's going to be ongoing in preparation for the new math adoption. So we'll have every layer of our programs supported to help move the dial a little bit for our students with disabilities.
Yes, that's good. And the only other one was the absenteeism. We were so close. We were so close. What's been really the general slide, because I would have thought directionally we would have been improving on that end.
I do also those numbers do seem quite a bit lower too. So I think I'm
Is it a
looking
data
cabinet, I want to double check. I mean, I know that came through EduClimber, and I don't doubt there might have been some slip. That does seem quite significant. So we will in cabinet just kind of talk about that and just double check those metrics to make sure that that's
it
accurate.
was not in alignment with sort of the general feeling that.
I mean, I know like recently there's a lot of kids sick. And so I don't know if winter, by the time spring comes like that, so we'll take a look at that. So I do wonder that if in the spring it'll bump up a little bit more because of a lot of illness in the winter, but I did also notice that it seemed kind of significantly a difference.
but I think having those attendance letters and synergy has really been helpful. Not that a letter is going to necessarily, make or break a situation, but it does help to at least kind of create that documentation so that we can progressively delve deeper into what the root causes maybe are of some of the chronic absenteeism across our district, right? But yes, we should double check EduClimber. It's new. That's where the data came from. We didn't have it in Synergy quite yet because Jeff has to go in there and kind of manually manipulate all the numbers and everything. So, but we'll definitely cross-reference that. And
but anecdotally, does it feel like it's getting better? Because I kind of feel like across the district attendance has been better anecdotally.
Anecdotally, I sort of felt the same way. So I was a little surprised too to see a little bit of a dip. And I know that, we're just really talking about it a lot, right? I mean, we're sending out a lot of information. It's just really, it's front and center in pretty much everything we do. Conversation-wise at principal meetings, cabinet meetings, when I go out to sites, it's, always checking in office admin meetings. We've been meeting with them monthly. So I feel like anecdotally, yes. I mean, I think we have some great things happening at school sites that are making students want to come to school. And so, I'll just say like, hey, at Meadows, no one wants to miss school this week because the penny battles are going on. Come on, who wants to miss the penny battles, right? So those things that, just keep kids engaged. It's our site administrators do such a fabulous job. I get all the parent scores now, now that I'm here. So, oh my gosh, it's happening there. Green Day at Green Hills the other day, everybody's wearing green and stuff happening at Spring Valley. And so it's just, there's just a lot of fun and joy in our schools. And so, yeah, we'll double check that because, I think that's wrong.
Back to EduClimber. Trustee Beltrami was asking, and I think she missed the, when we had the previous curriculum, Terry Breyer, she did a whole presentation on EduClimber. And we were all really fired up about it. it sounded just fabulous. And then I know it's been difficult to get it going, but maybe we could have a little just presentation at some point about what EduClimber does. I mean, I've forgotten a lot of the aspects of it.
When we get it up, we will certainly bring that
I think that might be
We
a
have
joint
one
presentation. I'm ready to pass the baton over to, no, I'm kidding.
That would be helpful, because I think I've forgotten a lot of that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Supposed to upload. Wasn't it supposed to?
It's been just really slow getting it, like.
It has to be able to talk to all of the.
All the,
That's
yeah.
the
it's-
whole-
So it can pull all the data.
Has to
and
integrate.
create reports.
And it doesn't replace energy, right?
No.
So,
It's
yeah.
like a data, like it's a one-stop shop for all things data. You pull up a student and boom, you have their LPAC, their CAS, their ESGI, their, you know, everything.
Attendance,
Yeah.
their grades, their.
Attendance, I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like a data profile, you know.
I just hope by the time we get all the information in, you don't come up with a new program.
Version 2.0.
Technology nowadays, yeah. Anyway, great questions. I'm not gonna ask any more questions because it's already been asked. This is the half a year one of 3-year plans, and it seems like Karen was saying that a lot of data, a lot of testing. I guess my only, and it's not a question, it's just a comment. I mean, I know we're doing a lot of, data is important and numbers are important to drive our work. But at the same time, I just don't want it to be heavy testing to the point that kids are not having fun. So if we're gonna talk about attendance, to me, I think if kids are gonna feel like they're always being somehow tested, like maybe that's like, it just might not be so incentive for the kids to come to school. But, you know, having pajama days or, you know, you have those week activity days or hat day or hair day and stuff. Those are things that kids look forward to coming to school. But sometimes I think a school, we want our scores to be to improve, and we want to do so much in such a little time that we forget that all those test scores and all those numbers, kids don't really care about. It should not be there. Should not be all school, what it's all about. Should be coming to school, having fun, learning, making friends, you know, socializing, not just sitting at home on the screen. So anyway.
Well, I think you look at FastBridge, and it is a lot because it's new for the teacher to do it, but when you look at the individual student, it's about 4 to 5 minutes total for one student. Do you have a sense of star reading or math about how long that takes a student?
It's not very long. It calibrates, it can be longer based on, it adapts. So if the students keep getting it right, yeah, they'll go like, a teacher from Green Hills reached out and said, why is my, Cezanne is a 4th grade teacher, I think? Third. Why is one of my students doing, you know, like, all these like 4th, 5th, and 6th grade standards? And it's because it adapts. So if you keep getting it right, it's going to keep going. So it can be a little bit longer based on the level of the student as they progress through it. But it's no more than 25 minutes. It's not like an hour-long test or anything.
Yeah, but still, for the kid that is.
But we need to balance the assessment
I
with,
think
yeah.
I'm sure there's a small amount of kids that they just don't like testing.
Yeah.
So anyway.
And to your point, actually, Big Lift recommended for us when we looked at our assessments, because we were shifting away, because we were taking on FastBridge, they really wanted to recommend that we make DRA optional, because that is a test that's 1-to-1 and it takes a little bit more time. And so they said, if you're going to do FastBridge, which is the 4 to 5 minute test, you really don't need, because it gives you even more information than the DRA does. You don't need to be doing both. So we made that optional. So we are cognizant of the amount of time that's being spent on assessment, but without assessment, we really are shooting in the dark, right? So we do need that to inform our instruction,
absolutely.
but we need to balance it with the fun and the,
In between,
Yeah.
with the, having a crazy year there or something like that, I don't know.
Yeah.
But again, the special education students, we don't talk enough about them. The data, I mean, I would love to see a presentation from a director of special ed specifically talking about special education students. We just don't talk about them enough. So I would like to see that in the next presentation. Anyway, I'm sure end of the year we'll have more details, more outcomes.
Yes, and my end of the year LCAP report to the board, we're going to shoot for less than 29 slides, and we're going to go with the Palo Alto model, because their mid-year LCAP was 7 slides.
Wow.
So I'm going to say we can name that tune in 10 slides or less. What do you think? No? I don't know. It's just my idea. with really good metrics.
As you say, just put the trees everywhere. Just
Anyway,
show
thank
up
you for a
for us.
great presentation.
Thank you.
Do you mind just advancing your slides
Sure.
to the Millbrae logo, please?
We have a lot of slides.
Yeah. Perfect, thank you.
There we go.
Okay, next on the agenda is our audit report for the year. Paul is here from Chevron, our auditor. We'll be presenting our 23-24 financial audit report.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me out to share with you the results of the June 30th, 2024 audit. Is this the PowerPoint for the report? Yeah. PDF of the report.
Oh,
just
you
the
just want
PDF.
the,
Yeah, just a PDF.
Sure. Thank you. All right, while that's coming up, let me tell you a little bit about our audit process. So the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, they put out auditing standards that we utilize in our audit. And because the school district is a local government, the Government Accountability Office, they put out government auditing standards, which we utilize in the audit for the district as well. Whenever an agency expends over $750,000 in federal awards, they're subject to a single audit. So the Office of Budget and Management, they put out a supplement called the Uniform Guidance, which we utilize to audit the district's federal programs. So for this last year, we selected the Special Education Program and the ESTA program as our major programs for our single audit this last year. And then for your state program, the Education Audit Appeals Panel, they put out an audit guide every year that we utilize in the audit of your state programs. Thank you. And this official.
no, it's probably not because it's a PDF, so it's,
Okay.
you would,
Sorry. If I go to full screen, then that will work.
Control L.
Of course, Control L.
Thank you. All right, so we just go over some of the key financial highlights for the year. Okay, so this first table I want to reference you to is table 1 on page 8 here. So this is a summary of the district's net position. And so what you see is the district's net position did drop just a little bit over $2.8 million. The big part of that is if you look at the long-term liabilities, it went up just over $13 million. And that's mostly due to the adjustments from GASB 68 with your retirement plans, PERS and STIRS. So a lot of times there's a lot of fluctuations there with in terms of return on investments, a lot of the assumptions that they make. So it's a little bit hard to gauge the volatility of the asset plan and the assumptions in terms of costs and everything. So the thing that you should care about is just really when it comes to your pension plans is paying those required contributions every year. So there's a plan that's already put out from PERS and STIRS that hopefully will reduce the liability over time. So that, at least that's the plan. So I can reference you to this here. One of the causes of in that position going down, if you look, that second line there, operating grants and contributions, it went down just under $3.8 million. And that's going to be your one-time funding that you have from ESSER, a lot of COVID funding you received a couple years ago, that went away. So you see the revenues overall dropped just under 2.7. Expenditures went up. Keep in mind though, it's not just your general cost of operations, but also this is the government wide. So this has a lot of the PERS and STIRS adjustments in here as well. So that's part of that. So what you care about though is going to be your fund balance. So from a day-to-day perspective, as you budget and all that stuff, the funds are what you care about. So in your funds, you see the total government funds went just under $1.6 million. So that's good. The general fund in particular went up over or just under 630,000. And so I can continue to very back of the report. Once we get to that, what you're going to see, this is known as the financial trends and analysis schedule.
what page?
What page are you on?
I will be, it's going to be page 79.
Is there another way to do this?
There you go, 79. Okay, so what you see on page 7 on this financial trends and analysis is your general fund. So this gives you a three-year view of what the general fund's been doing. And so you see from 22 to 24, it's been going up. It's gone up just under $5.9 million over the last 3 years, so it's good. For those who've been around for a little while, just remember your net position, you guys were in net deficit, net position just in fiscal year 23. Last year, you guys got out of the hole, and now, a little dip, but you're still in positive. So you're in the right direction. One thing I want to point out here is you have a 3% reserve, which is right where the state wants you to be. So you want to keep an eye on that, make sure you still have a fairly healthy reserve. Typically you have this around the 7% reserve mark, which is great. But being down to 3 this last year, you're just beating the minimum. So just keep an eye on that as you go forward, spending-wise, budget-wise. If there aren't any questions on the numbers, I can go into the audit results.
Well, I had some questions. I mean, I see this big dip in the net position, right? It's a change of 40%, and it's, I don't know, $10 million or something like that. But I think this is all kind of just funny money in terms of like the pension stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I could not really understand all of these pension calculations. I think the bottom line, are we supposed to be worried about that or not worried about it?
Well, so you want to worry about it when you're doing long-term planning, right? You want to look at, so one of the things, I don't want to scroll the ball again, but what you'll see is that your assets went down. That's just depreciation. So you want to, for a long-term plan, that's what something you want to look at. Your pension plan, like I was saying, if you follow the state's the plans outlined in terms of the required contributions, they've got a lot of fancy accountants figuring out what that needs to be in the future, and they set the contributions accordingly to hopefully fully fund the plan. So those are kind of big pictures. But yes, you're correct. If you go to the debt schedule, which I'll just reference you page number wise, you can see it on your end. It's going to be page 6, and that's the long-term liability. So when you see on page 6 at the bottom of the long-term liabilities, the big change you see there is going to be coming from the net pension liability, going from like 22.8 million to 38.5 this year. Big huge jump. So yeah, you're right. It's some fancy accounting stuff that it's a moving target.
So it looks bad, but it actually is not.
I
I saw
don't want to say it's not a real number, but it's not a useful number in terms of planning also much, right?
Okay.
Because you don't really have a lot of control of that. You don't have control of the stock market. You could make additional contributions, but rarely do we see school districts do that. We'll see like some special districts do it or cities do it, but not really at the school district level for PERS and STIRS. Your OPEB, pretty minimal. It's not really a big significant part of your liabilities, but you can always contribute to a trust and reduce that liability. That's your control of that. But like I said, that's not as significant as your PERS and STIRS.
Okay, and then the other question I had was on the reserves.
Ah.
I noticed that you said it went from 7-ish% down to 3. That is on that page. So how does that reserve number on this page tie to the ending fund balance? Because if I look at the ending fund balance, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, a lot of that is tied up. It's tied up in the restricted funds. A lot of the restricted money you got, pricing estimates, like detail it out a little bit more what's in there. But this just leaves whatever's available for you in terms of the unassigned, and some districts will have a reserve for economic uncertainty. If anything's restricted and stuff, it would not be a part of this number.
Okay. So we can't calculate it from this page. We just.
It is different. I mean, in addition to the 3%, there is a board policy that has additional reserves.
Well, that's what I thought. That's
Yes.
what
So
Yes.
It's reflected in our ending fund balance.
Yeah, either 17% of the expenditure or the total of 2-month worth of the expenditure. It's set aside
Okay.
on top of that 3%.
Yeah, so, okay,
Yes.
so even though it went from 7 to 3, our actual reserve is more than just the bare minimum of 3.
Correct.
There's another reserve on here, in our budget, in our
Ending
accounts
fund
that are
balance.
not on this page.
It's part of the ending fund balance,
Yes.
right?
Right, but not specifically
Yeah, so-
designated.
Right.
If
It
I could,
doesn't-
actually, do you mind if I change this to start with bounce around, because it might illustrate a little bit better. This is all the way to page 16. So this is going to be the fund balance on page 16. So this is what Mary is referring to, that you get some additional fund balance. So right here, it's just a reserve and an unassigned at the 990 that you're asking about, but then you've got all those other ones that you do have control over as well. And so you see some of those are set aside for educational programs and whatnot there.
We're still scrolling to 16.
Okay, so I see the unassigned reserve for economic uncertainties of the 990.
Yeah.
And then where is the other piece?
The assigned part. So the assigned part, you guys as a board, you have control over that.
So it's part of,
This section, right there. Assigned.
Okay, those are reserves?
You could, yeah, that's something you can put aside more or less. And the
I see.
categories, how much you put into
Okay,
those.
so we are still in a good position.
Your fund balance is strong, yeah. You're at a 17, just under $18 million. So pretty strong, still good, healthy fund balance.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. So on to the audit results then?
Yes.
Okay. So when it comes to the financial statements, we issued an unmodified report, which is an unmodified opinion, I'm sorry, which is a good thing. It means that your financial statements were fairly presented in all material respects. When it comes to internal controls and stuff, we did have a findings last year in state compliance. And so, sorry to go through all that again. But, so the findings will be on page 92.
Maybe next time we'll get a copy of that.
So 92. So sorry, it's not a full page, but this is what you'll see here, and then the finding and referencing is going to be right there. So it's related to the classroom teacher salaries. It's been pretty challenging to meet the last few years, especially with a lot of the one-time funding investor, because you get this influx of money, you're spending a bunch of those funds, but not necessarily the classroom teacher salaries, because you got to mitigate some of the risks or some of the impacts of COVID, right? And so a lot of districts had a hard time. Yours in particular didn't need it. So the districts, they did get a waiver on the question costs. Usually you have to put that aside for the next year. And then also one of the things that possibly looking at when Mary and her team and I were talking about is just being exam permanent based on your class size. But I think better I'll just going with a waiver. I'm not sure that trying to meet that class size is feasible at this point, but there are options there to turn this around. We don't expect it to be an issue again next year, but.
no, we were aware of that, and the board did approve, kind of the waiver. We were approved for the waiver, but that was for last school year, so, we're monitoring it this year.
So is that the first year that was the first?
This was our first year.
That's correct, yeah, last year did not have the funding.
Okay.
Okay. And just to round it out, we didn't have any significant uncorrected adjustments, no difficulties during our audit, no disagreements with management, no lack of a going concern with the district, which means that, yes, we have to keep the doors open for next year. And I wanted to thank, Mary wasn't here for the whole thing, but I want to thank her team who are here helping us, and even across the district. So a lot of new stuff, not just in finance, a lot in debt services, facility, all that stuff, and all the new, music and arts, the transportation, after school programs. We're asking for a lot of stuff this year we didn't ask for in the past, so thank you guys for all helping us through that.
Any comments, thoughts? Thank you for your presentation. That was very short and sweet, because it's when you talk about numbers, sometimes it gets overwhelming. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, consent agenda. I need a board approval to approve consent agenda.
So moved.
You have a second? Oh, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Okay, motion carries. District business. The first thing on the agenda is approval. It's an action item. So I need a motion to approve the financial audit report we just presented.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay. Okay, any other additional comments?
You would have understood that.
What? No additional comments or actions?
No comment.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Okay, motion carries. Thank you for that presentation, and we'll see you next year. Okay, this is also another action item. It's our approval 24-25 certificated seniority report.
Yeah, so this is an annual seniority report that comes to the board. I don't know if our director of HR, is there anything you want to add for the certificated or classified seniority report? Because we have two items right in the red.
These are presented to you annually. They are reviewed by staff before we bring them to you for accuracy. And if any changes are noted, then we correct them. We had one location change on the report, so everything went well.
This is an action item. I need a motion for approval.
So moved. I'll second.
Oh, second, oh, I didn't hear you, sorry. Discussion, questions? No? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries. This item is the same thing, approval 24-25 classified seniority report. Again, Claudia?
Same thing, it's the same process. We send it to all staff to have it reviewed. They initial or sign their hours and seniority, and then we bring it to you for approval.
Thank you, Claudia. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Okay, motion carries. All right, possible future agenda items. Any,
Well, I have two on my list already. Special education, EduClimber presentation, when that's all up and ready, but always happy to entertain more.
Thank you for that. Thank you for putting EduClimber down.
yeah. She's got it. Nothing to add? Okay, great. Thank you guys for a great meeting. It's 8:30, wow, we're doing a good job. Anyway, just a quick, before we adjourn, we are gonna have our bond session on Friday in this room.
From 4 to 6.
4 to 6, if anybody would like to join us, because it would not be recorded. And, all right, thank you, have a good evening, meeting adjourned.